Hello, I'm Grant Gershon, the Kiki and David Gindler Artistic Director of the LA Master Chorale.
And I'm Jenny Wong, the Associate Conductor of the LA Master Chorale.
And welcome to Offstage with the LA Master Chorale, where we're joined today by Billy Childs, just one of the most phenomenal musicians in the world today, and a close friend of the chorales, and of course of myself for a long time. So, hey, Billy, nice to see you.
Great.
Welcome.
Hey Jenny, how are you doing?
Great. Well, Billy, right away, could you just tell us where you are and what have your days been like during this quarantine?
Well, I'm here in the Los Angeles area. I actually live in Sierra Madre, and it's been a challenge. It's kind of I don't feel like human beings are meant to be in cages, and even though this is a very nice cage, it has Netflix and it has a stove, and I can cook, and I've enjoyed my cuisine a little too much, but I ride my bike, and it's kind of a cage of fear because we're afraid of each other. We're afraid of infecting each other, and there's good cause for that, of course, but it still feels very unnatural. So even though it really isn't much of a change in my routine pre-COVID, where I would spend hours and hours in my room writing. It really isn't much of a change there, but it's kind of a psychological change in that um, we're driven further apart, I think. So that's been a challenge. It's actually, even though I have theoretically more time to myself, it's been harder to get inspired to write. All of the protests and the horrific events that have led to the protests. When the protests first started, I was saying to myself, wow, all of this amidst the backdrop of coronavirus. But actually, I think it's the coronavirus occurred amidst the backdrop of the racism that caused the protests. So I kind of had it reversed. So it's all been very disconcerting, but um, I'm also very fortunate in that people, have, before this have kind of gravitated to my music in some fashion, and I still feel like I can contribute and with my art, and so that's really everything.
I know you have a lot of thoughts on what's going on right now, and I'm wondering, is that something that you really want to focus on in your music, or with poetry, or in some combination? I mean, how are you thinking about that?
Yeah. Going forward, I really want to focus these issues and other issues too. But being a black man in America, I'm forced to face and deal with race every day. So that comes into my music. I write poetry a lot. I've always loved poetry. I never had like formal training, but I've read a lot of poetry. I've studied it, and so I started writing it years ago, 30 years ago. I've written, a whole bunch of poetry, and I thought, wouldn't it be cool to just maybe combine some of the poetry I've written, some other poetry that's written, and maybe it could be used as a tool to bring awareness to certain issues. There's a poem which I actually also posted on Facebook. It's a poem that I had written in response to Philando Castile being murdered. But Philando Castile is in a long line of black men who have been, and women who have been murdered by either policemen or vigilantes, white vigilantes that were racist or afraid of black people. This country, I think, was founded on subjugating one race or another, whether it's the Native Americans or blacks. And so we're forced to deal with it every day. It's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Right now we're in a 1 step back phase.
Well, Billy, nowadays you teach quite a lot as well. Is there what are you looking for when you look at the new rising generation of musicians? And is there anything you want to share with them from your own experience?
I would say, have faith in the hipness of your own ideas, because when you listen to somebody do something else and it's mind blowing, and you say, man, I could never write anything like that. You're right. You can't write what they write, because they are who they are. But they can't write what you write. The inverse is true. Your idea may be just as valid as Bartok's or Stravinsky's or whatever, but you have to work like they did. You have to work like hell to perfect it. There's no substitute for that. I think there's too little listening between generations. Listen to your elders, and the elders listen to the young people. Uh, I I hear a lot of people of my generation say, "Oh man, these young kids, they don't understand. The human race hasn't diminished in intelligence. It's, if anything, progressed in intelligence." Older people need to know that younger people are under a tremendous amount of pressure, created by the mess that older people made, you know, um, and we're charging them with helping to clean it up. By the same token, a lot of young people don't realize that older people have been through what they are going through, you know, and know from experience what they're talking about. So I think there needs to be a lot more listening between young and old, between black and white, women and men, whatever your sexual orientation is. That needs to be acknowledged.
Billy is as a successful and visible musician. I'm wondering, do you feel like an extra sense of responsibility right now to use the power of your platform to advocate?
I I think art is powerful, and I think it has the ability to actually inspire people in a way that, just political jargon can't, like, I promise my next 4 years I will do this, or race relations, or it should be this, and we need to, art can speak to that much more profoundly. Well, first of all, there are two charges, I think. The first charge is if you have talent, I feel it's almost like your duty to work on it and explore it and develop it to the fullest that you can do that. It's what the world needs. It needs everybody to explore their full potential to the best of their ability. So that's charge number one. And then once you do that, then I want to have my music used for healing, for making more understanding, or making more compassion happen in the world, or more intelligence,